Hi, I'm Bob Kahn, and welcome to my video about the 21 habits of a successful photographer. This is not a video about how to take pictures. It's not a video about how to advertise. It's not a video about how to get $20,000 weddings or $10,000 portrait sessions. I've never had a $20,000 wedding or a $10,000 portrait session. It's a video of ideas and thoughts of kind of how I always ran my businesses. And even this is a business. Even this is a business, you buying my videotapes and watching my videotapes. And I apply the same philosophy to the production of these tapes, to what I try to present, the information, as I did in my wedding photography business. I'm going to give you all kinds of ideas and thoughts. My business was average people. I was near New York City. 10 minutes away, but 100 miles away when it came to business and customers and the kind of clientele was available in New York City. I lived in a little city in New Jersey, and one of the people in the town was a photographer for one of the biggest photography studio companies in Manhattan. And this photographer photographed Donald Trump's wedding and Eddie Murphy's wedding and many, many other celebrities' weddings. And here we were in the same town, but he was doing these celebrities for this company in New York City, and I was doing the people in the town, photographing the people in the town. We had two entirely different styles. He had a few weddings that he had gotten through the people in town because they knew him, and he was uncomfortable because they were expecting him to do what I did. And he eventually stopped doing it. And the point I'm making is, you want to create a business that is successful in your town. I'm not a speaker who comes out and tells you about these big expensive weddings for you to go back and say, oh, I was at a Bob Kahn workshop, or I saw Bob Kahn's video, and wow, he gets $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a wedding. Between you and me, people, most of these photographers, they come and go. They get a reputation. One rich person, they do a wedding for them, and then they tell their other rich friend, and eventually it kind of dies out. They find out that the photography wasn't that great, and even rich people don't want to spend any more money on anything than they have to. What I try to do, and what I will tell you to do, is improve your business. Figure out a way to raise your prices 10, 15% a year. Do that all the time. You know, if you raised your prices 10% a year, you'd be way ahead of inflation, I think, at this point, and probably much better off than most of your friends who have jobs that get a paycheck. I don't know too many companies giving a 10% raise every year. And if you could make it 20% or 30%, that would be very nice. So I don't care if you get $200 for a portrait sitting, and next year you could get $250, or if you get $1,000 for a wedding, and next year you can get $1,500, and the next year maybe a little more and a little more. That's what I'm trying to help you do. Live in the real world, not live in a dream world of these few photographers in the East Coast in New York and a few in California that get a few wealthy people to photograph, and then they go out in the workshop world and give seminars and tell you how to get rich. I've actually seen these photographers who give these workshops put more photographers out of business than help them improve their business, because they leave these workshops with these pie-in-the-sky ideas about going home and just charging a huge amount of money for their work. So we'll get started on first section, and we'll be back in a minute. Your business is your name. That's your name. Your business is your name. Bob Kahn. Donald Jack said his first name was Donald Jack and his last name was photography. And everywhere it was Donald Jack Photography. Well, you're your business. When I give people my card, it says Bob Kahn Photography. Think about that. What if everybody knew your name? And how can you get everybody to know your name? You know, what if everybody knew your name? So we'll talk about how they might get to know your name as we go along. Now, we are wedding photographers. and we're portrait photographers. And we're not rich. We're little businesses. You could call us mom and pop operations, whatever you want. We're not big businesses. Maybe when you started out, you had some money that you wanted to invest. And you might have said, well, you know what, I'll go place some ads. If you're a wedding photographer, we have the internet. It's wonderful. For a few $100s a year, you can go on those wedding things and, you know, all kinds of sites where people can find you. My advice to you, although this isn't what this section is about, but I want to say this. This is a very casual video I'm doing. I have topics, the camera's rolling, I'm talking, and if I venture off something, it's all right, it's information for you. If I repeat something that might cross over into another area, that's the way it is. Don't sign yourself up for multiple online wedding search engines. The brides go to every one. If you sign yourself up in 3, they're going to see you 3 times. Sign yourself up in 1, and that'll be fine. They'll see you, and that's it. So we have the internet. That's one thing. The internet's not everything. You can't afford to advertise. I'm sorry, but it's very expensive. Unless you want to spend $10,000 a year, it's very expensive to advertise. You might try it to begin with. But remember, you're competing against established photographers who probably aren't advertising because they have a reputation. And now you have this expense. So here's what I call walkabout. Okay? When I started my business 25 years ago, I had a lot of free time. Now, some of you watching this are part-timers. You don't have a lot of free time. But it's all relative. If you're part-timers, you already have a full-time job and you don't need to make a full-time living. And if you get a few leads from the internet and tell friends and maybe some networking, you'll be okay. But if you're a full-time photographer, you decided you're unemployed and you've decided to go into this, or you just said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a full-time wedding photographer. You have a lot of free time because there's nothing to do during the day. Well, make something to do. Take 50 business cards, put them in your pocket, and go out every day and give them out. Now, this is the trick. This is one secret. I have very few secrets. I don't believe there are secrets. So this is just a cute little trick, and it works. Put together a little portfolio of some corporate photography. Go take pictures of a building. Have someone sit down and take a little portrait of them. Make a little portfolio, half a dozen pictures. Take a picture of a product, anything you want. Make a business card, a separate business card that says Bob Kahn, Corporate Photography. And I want you to go out every day and go to every office that you can find and walk into the office and say, hi, I'm Bob Kahn, I'm a corporate photographer, and give your card out. Now you're going to say, why would I want to do a thing like that? Well, I'll tell you why. Who is sitting at the desk? Who's sitting at the desk when you walk in? A woman. And she's young. She's a young girl it's her first job, and she's probably not married. And you're going to hit a large percentage of these young girls, and you give out your corporate card, and one of the nice things about photography is they think no matter what we say, if it says photography, we can do it. So you say corporate, and they'll say, do you photograph weddings? And you say, you know, by the way, I do. I do photograph weddings. Yeah, are you getting married, or are you interested? You know, why don't you come by my studio? Yeah, today.